There are many sources to learn about acoustics and the theory that goes into treating a room. This is beyond the scope of this DVD. But in a nutshell, you want your control room's reverb time to be about a quarter second, while your live room needs to be about a half a second. These times are specific to small room acoustics. It's most likely that you're going to need to add Sabins or add absorption to bring the room time down. There's a really great product made by Owens Corning, and it's part of the 700 series of insulation products. We're looking at 703. 703 comes in half-inch increments of thickness from 1 inches to 4 inches and are 2 foot by 4 foot. They're really good absorbers of all frequencies down to 250 Hertz. But this is not the type of product you find in a big box store. You'll need to research insulation vendors and contractors in your area to find this product. The basic idea behind a live-end dead-end room of which we're building is to have an absorptive front wall. And this is a good place to start with your treatment. In my room, I needed more Sabins than could be hung on the front walls. The next logical place is on the ceiling. So my first step in treatment is to hang 703 on the ceiling. Remember that 703 is a rigid piece of insulation, so the same precautions need to be taken when working with it. Cover your mouth and your eyes and wear gloves, and your health will thank you. The idea I had was to make a grid system and fill the grid with 703, then cover with burlap. Burlap is relatively inexpensive, comes in a variety of colors, and is acoustically compatible with the 703. You can find pine board that is relatively light and inexpensive and is usually sold as cheap shelving. They come in various widths and lengths. I purchased a 3/4 inch thick board of 8 inches wide and ripped strips of wood 1 inch thick with the table saw. This gives me a 3/4 inch wide grid that is exactly the thickness of my 703. I placed the 703 on the floor and laid out the grid first so I can cut and form each piece before I'm up on the ladder. To attach the 703 to the ceiling, I'm using finish screws and fender washers. About 5 of these will hold the insulation in place. Then I use construction glue to hold the wood in place and secure it with a few finish screws. Start with wood around the perimeter, then place the first piece of 703 in the center and work your way out. When you're finished, it leaves little ridges that we can staple the burlap to. Another installation method is to build a cloud that can be suspended from the ceiling from 1 to 4 inches. This method improves base absorption. In fact, anytime you can put airspace between your treatment and the wall, it will improve the absorptive properties of the treatment. I was able to find an off-white burlap that was 49 inches wide. This is perfect because the 703 is 48 inches long, and that leaves me a half inch on either side to staple to the grid. Before you put up any fabric in a studio, you need to process it with flame retardant. Most studios have a lot of fabric on the walls and the ceilings, which makes a nice combustible fire hazard that the fire marshal will not like. I suggest a product made by Roscoe called Flamex. This can be had from most theatrical supply houses. You dilute it with water in a sprayer and soak the fabric and let it dry. Watch this demonstration. First you see a flame set to the burlap without retardant. Notice it starts on fire. The same flame set to the treated cloth is harder to start and it only smokes. It's just a good idea. Now we're ready to install the fabric. It's an easy install. Just start in one corner and work your way out and smooth the cloth as you go. In the end, you'll have these lines of staples that can be then covered with wood strips or anything else of your choosing. Since the grid is made of wood and the lattice is light, a small finish nail will hold everything in place. I'm working with a flexible plastic-based lattice strip. In hindsight, I probably should have used something a bit stiffer. Cosmetically, it looks a little bit wavy, but I can always replace this in the future. Another option for treatment is manufactured acoustical foam products. These come in a wide variety of colors and patterns and acoustical solutions. They're easy to install. Just use foam board glue and stick it on the wall. Do you like my tic-tac-toe pattern? It also gives your studio a nice space-age look. A third option is to make a 703 box panel. For this idea, I'm using 2-inch 703 for better low-end absorption, and building a box around them and covering them with muslin cloth. A 2x4 is not 2x4. It's 1.5 by 3.5. So I will rip 2x4s into 2-inch strips with a table saw. This is also another place where adding airspace behind the treatment will improve the bass frequency absorption. If you need this improvement, increase the depth to at least 4 inches. After the cuts are made, you can lay out your box on the floor. Strong tie makes a great angle bracket, which also provides rigidity for the structure itself. The combination of the angle bracket and the direct screwing of the wood should yield a great result. In order to hang these on the wall, we need to make an angle cut hanger out of 1x4 pine board. We take the board and cut a 45-degree angle into the middle of the piece. Now you can see that one piece will be attached to the wall and the other piece attached to the box, and it will hang flat on the wall and be invisible. Measure down the box by about 1/3 and put one piece of the hanger in place with some screws. Now move the whole thing to the wall where it will be hung to find the location of the wall mounting. Remember that it needs to clear the ceiling by a certain amount so that you can lift the box into place, so these cannot be fastened up to the ceiling. They need about a 2-inch clearance. Once we know the approximate location and verify that it's level, just draw a line around the perimeter of the wall hanger so we can put it back in place exactly where it should be. I use 3 points on the wall for these. We're going to attach the hanger with hollow wall drive anchors. These screws expand inside of the wall to give a solid connection. First you drill a hole the recommended size, pound in the anchor, then use a driver to turn the screw very slowly. This will open up the anchor on the other side. Remove that screw and then put it into the hanger. Place a bit of caulk around the screw hole to seal, and it wouldn't hurt to run a bead of caulk around the perimeter. Put the piece in place and drive the screws in. Now we cover the boxes with muslin. This is like wrapping a present or stretching canvas on a picture frame. Just fold and staple in place. When you're done, hang it and it looks good, and it won't move. The back wall needs to be diffused. The mat that goes into a diffuser is complex at best. Yeah, you can cut wood of all different sizes or put all kinds of odd-shaped objects on your back wall, but nothing beats a real diffuser that is properly made and gives you back the hemispherical diffused sound field you want. There are all kinds of diffusers available, some made of wood, some plastic, some styrofoam, so go for it.